So good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar all around Twinfield. Obviously, today is going to be all about our powerful online accounting software, Twinfield, and we will do a little bit of an introduction to myself and Hassan. So I am Phil Hobden. I'm head of digital products here at Wolters Kluwer. So I am responsible for the teams that talk to you about Twinfield, Basecomb, Finsit, and OneClick. So I've been with Wolters Kluwer for about 5 months now, coming up to 6 months, I think. And before that, I've been working with accountants and technology for probably the better part of 10 years. So I've worked with a lot of accountants over this time to help them implement technology. I'm your host for today, which means I'm also going to be the one that's going to be manning the chat box and manning the questions and the Q&A. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Hassan. Do you want to do a quick intro, Hassan?
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. Thanks a lot for that. I think it's quite hard to follow up that intro, but yeah, hi everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Hassan. I'm part of Phil's digital team. I'm one of the digital specialists here as well. I look predominantly after CCH OneClick as well as Twinfield, as well as some of our other products in our digital portfolio as well. And I've been with Wolters Kluwer for about 4.5 years now. So yeah, looking forward to the webinar.
Excellent. Well, look, before we get started, I want to run a quick poll while I go through the housekeeping. So Steph, who is our wonderful head of events here at Wolters Kluwer, Tax and Accounting UK, is going to run a quick poll while I run through the housekeeping. So really simple. How much do you know about Twinfield? So we use it. We used to use it, but not anymore. We know it, but we haven't used it. And what's Twinfield? And then I'll talk to you a little bit about what to expect about today's webinar. So just quick housekeeping. Session will run for approximately 45 minutes. It's booked in for an hour. It might be slightly less. It won't be more than an hour. Obviously, we're very kind. We want to give you your time back. You can ask the questions at any time using the Q&A panel, or you can use the chat box. You can use the chat also to connect with your peers, introduce yourself, say hello. And we'll also be recording this session, which will be shared with you and your colleagues afterwards. So a little bit about today's webinar. Today is really just an overview and introduction into Twinfield. So this isn't going to necessarily be a deep dive into how to use this, but actually it's going to be a bit more of an overview of some of the key features and key benefits of implementing Twinfield within your practice. So if you're already using Twinfield, obviously there may well be some advantages in you kind of learning a few bits and pieces. We did this session a couple of weeks ago. And for sure, we learned some really, there were some people on there that said, oh, I didn't know we could do that. Or I didn't know it integrated with Basecomb like that. But predominantly, we're going to be giving you an overview, or Hassan is going to be giving you an overview of how Twinfield works, some of the key features of the products, and we're going to be doing a live demo, which actually, looking at the room, looking at the people that have answered the questionnaire, that looks about right, because the majority of people here know about Twinfield but have not used it, or don't even know what Twinfield is. I love that. I love the fact you've come onto a webinar with no idea I don't know. What are you doing today? I'm going on a webinar. What's it about? I don't know. It's 11 o'clock though. It's a good way to spend my pre-lunch. But look, hopefully we'll be able to deliver some benefit for everyone that's on the webinar and give you that kind of overview. Obviously, we'll also talk through a quick case study as well. Talk you through how one of our clients is using Twinfield. And of course, any questions we will address as well. One caveat on this, the webinar was originally going to be hosted by our digital product specialist, Mike. Unfortunately, Mike is off with the flu and is unwell this week, so he hasn't been able to attend. Now, Mike is very much our technical specialist around Twinfield. So if you have technical questions and myself or Hassan can't answer them, we will get back to you, okay? So either myself, Hassan or Mike will reach out to you to talk you through those questions. So feel free to ask questions, but just as a small caveat, if we can't answer them, one of my colleagues will reach back out to you to answer those questions. So hopefully that is okay with everyone here. Brilliant. Look, I think we can end the poll now. Steph, thank you very much for that. That was great. So that's a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. So before Hassan jumps into the platform, I want to talk to you a little bit about Twinfield. And I want to cover off some of the key features within the software. So Twinfield can easily manage all accounting functions, from invoicing to management accounting, and is suitable for the smallest startup through to the largest international group. And it does this through capabilities such as advisors and clients being able to share real-time information. You'll be collaborating with confidence that the system is up to date and the latest transactions and invoices are posted. Advisors can view live financial information so they can give better advice on business-critical decisions. Twinfield is scalable, and it's scalable software that copes with business growth. You can start with the basic bookkeeping function, safe in the knowledge that, as required, you can simply start using more advanced features like fixed assets, project accounting, intercompany posting, group consolidation, and currency reevaluation. And this kind of multi-currency and that kind of area is a big feature of Twinfield. I'm sure Hassan will talk to you about this. Multi-company, multi-language, multi-company. Instantly have the facility to see a company's financial position in the currency of your choice, as well as produce international group reports in the designated reporting currency. To touch on this a bit more, if you have a group of companies, let's say one in the UK and one in the US, you might want the organisation set up in sterling, but reporting done in dollars. And this is possible in Twinfield. The company and reporting don't have to be in the same currency. And this is kind of part of the benefit of Wolters Kluwer. Twinfield was originally developed in the Netherlands by a Netherlands team, and actually is one of the preeminent tax and accounting softwares within the Netherlands and within Europe. It's a little lesser known in the UK, but we're hoping we can change some of that today. You also have time-saving report drill down from any report to the initializing transaction, scanned image, or stored invoice. And this helps for immediate responses to inquiries. The single ledger design eliminates the need for reconsolidation and period close, giving you more time to analyze the figures instead of creating them. Seamless API integration. Twinfield Open API link provides secure integration with your chosen business systems, such as stock and purchase control, that pull data into Twinfield. It's also worth mentioning here that if you need an API link created for something industry specific, if that link isn't already created, it's something we can look at creating. And in fact, we have some great partnerships with APIs in the UK. So Targo, for example, is one API that jumps to mind that we have within Twinfield in the UK. End-to-end accounting. Twinfield integrates with CCH accounts production and Basecode, providing true end-to-end accounting solutions for advisors and businesses. And even more than that, it will kind of work within, eventually we'll work within FinSit as well. So you'll have that kind of, that trinity of accounts production, of reporting, of accounts, and of invoice as well, which is great. We love that. Access secure source documents within Twinfield. Permission setups allow full control over who can see documents, giving you better security over your client's information. And on security, Wolters Kluwer has first-class security. Using data centers in Europe, data is protected by firewalls, antivirus, encryption software, and independent security audits carried out quarterly. I think we also have attack dogs sat outside each server house. I don't know if that's true or if I've just made that one up. What do you reckon? Is that true? Probably.
Yeah.
And in terms of accounting software, truly Twinfield is ahead of its time. It's 22 years old. A cloud accounting product is 22 years old. And cloud really didn't start to be discussed, especially in the UK, to around 2012, 2013. And that's kind of businesses are just tipping their toes into the water. But, you know, in the last 5 to 6 years, businesses really started to invest in that digital journey. And Twinfield has been at the forefront of that for all of this time. So all the cloud providers that are out there, Twinfield was one of the first that did this. And I love that. I love the fact that Twinfield was one of those first out there. So look, that's giving you a bit of an overview of Twinfield as a product. But I'm a big believer that actually the thing that kind of makes this sing for you is actually seeing it and bring it to life. And for that, I am going to pass over to Hassan, who's going to take you through some of the features and benefits of Twinfield. So Hassan, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Phil. But yeah, hopefully you'll find some value in this next segment in terms of the demonstration itself. Everything I'm going to show you now as part of this demo will be accessible through our user documents area, where you could go in and have a look at it in more detail at your own time as well. But with that being said, one of the main questions we get with Twinfield is how do we log into it and what is it and that normally comes from our users who use our desktop products. So with Twinfield being a true cloud-based product, you log into it using any device that has an internet connection, obviously. You could do so by going on the Wolters Kluwer website, clicking on login, and then you'll be able to go into Twinfield via here as well. Once you've clicked onto that, you will have the ability to log into your organization. That's basically your company or your practice. Each user will be set up on Twinfield with different user access, and you'll see that once we log in shortly as well. So once I've gone in, I've confirmed my organization details. What you're presented with now is Twinfield's main home screen as well. So I'll just wait for that to load. Now, what you're seeing on screen at the moment is on the top left-hand side is the branding. So this is fully customizable to your organization. So you could have your own logo on here. You have a search function similar to Google. And this is actually quite a good way to get used to the software. So as you start using the software, if you don't know where something is, you could simply come on here and search for it. So if it's a particular functionality or report, you could certainly come on here and search for it. In addition to that, you do also have the ability to have notifications of any sort of planned downtime for the software, any updates that will come up on the notification bell on here. And in addition to that, with this being a cloud-based product, you still have the ability to import as well as export data out of it. And the way we do that is using our file manager icon on here as well. So this will allow you to export reports, CSV files, but also to import data if needs be. Now, with the current ways of working, and I presume a lot of people have multi-screens nowadays, multiple desktops, you do have the ability to open up a different version of this particular window, so you could work simultaneously at the same time on multiple screens if you want to as well. Last but not least, on the navigation front as well, this is all fully customizable depending on who's logged into the software. So if there is a set of reports or a particular functionality that you use on a regular basis, you can certainly add it to your favorites on the main screen on here. And you simply do that by clicking on edit, and you can add it to your favorite as well. Finally, on the right-hand side, you do have access to your portfolio of companies. So whether you're a practice and you manage obviously multiple clients, you could sort of flick between the different clients by just clicking on the right-hand side, and this will show you all of your clients. And if you were to be an organization with subsidiaries and multiple companies, you could also use this to manage different companies and log into each separate company as well. With that being said, from a navigational point of view, on the left-hand side, what the screen we're on at the moment is your home screen, but you also have your sales invoicing, your purchase invoicing, you have your cash and bank, your VAT, fixed assets, as well as fixed professionals reporting and the settings. And we're going to go into a bit more detail into each one of them shortly as well. But that's really sort of your main screen, and that's where everything is within Twinfield as well. So to start off with, one thing I normally like to cover off is the sales invoicing and how simple it is to use Twinfield for that. Now to do that, you simply click on the sales invoice and on the left-hand side, and then you have the ability to generate a new quote. Doing so, you're able to fully customize your templates as well. So depending on who's using this, you're able to customize them. But once you've generated the invoice, so in my case here, I'd like to use a animal feed as one of my product lines. You do have the ability to send this to your customers or your clients via email, by your link. And what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to actually see your client, whether they've viewed that particular invoice or not, which can be quite handy. In addition to that, you could obviously just send it as a PDF document if you want to, or you could just save it as a PDF document and share it with your client as well. Once you've generated your quotes, you are able to manage them all from a centralized screen on here, and it shows you which ones are currently in draft, which ones have expired, and which ones have been accepted by your customers as well. Now, clicking onto any of them, so in my case, I'm just going to go back in here, and I'm just going to very quickly actually change my company. Another demo company that I used actually has a few more invoices on there. If I was to go into my quotes, what you could see on here is I've got some that I've generated in the past, and I could see some that have been accepted by my customers and some that have expired as well. Now, if I was to click on the first invoice that I generated here, what you can see on the left-hand side is a timeline, and this shows you a full audit trail as to what happened to this particular quote as well, from the moment when it was created and who it was created by internally to the point when it was accepted by my customer as well. So you have a full sort of audit trail, if you will, as well. With that being said, I appreciate some people would much rather just punch in the details as opposed to generate a quote using the user interface I've just shown you. And to do that, you simply click on data entry. And in here, you're able to once again generate that using the fields on screen as well, if you want to. Now, whilst we're on the screen as well, one thing that's quite unique with Twinfield is how we post transactions. The way we post transactions is via two methods. So you have a provisional transaction and a finalized transaction. A provisional transaction simply means you'll post that transaction, but you can still go in and adjust that particular transaction without having to put any adjustments against it. A finalized transaction obviously means it's finalized. However, you need to put adjustments if you need to make any changes to that particular transaction itself. Now, what we tend to find, the large majority of our customers tend to sort of use provisional throughout the year. And then when it comes to year ends, you could finalize it as well. So it's just one thing to know on that front. One other thing as well, in terms of the terminology within Twinfield, you can see on here, we refer to articles. Articles are product lines or stock lines or services, what we refer to as articles, but this is where you're able to go in and sort of customize them and add some more to them as well if needs be. So that's everything from the sales invoicing point of view. Now, moving on to the purchase invoicing, once again, you could simply go in here and click on data entry, and you are able to, once again, punch in the details. And you could actually have a maximum of 99 lines. So if you wanted to do that, you could certainly do it that way. So you just put in your supplier detail. So in my case, I do have a Aviva Insurance. And if I wanted to, I could also potentially spread this out as well over a period of time as well. So that's an option for you to do if you wanted to do that. Now, the more popular option of actually processing purchase invoices within Twinfield is through our product Basecone, which is a OCR-based product that will help process your purchase invoices for you, and it will help automate a lot of that side of things as well. Now, one thing to mention with Basecone, it is a standalone product to Twinfield, but it does fully integrate with Twinfield as well. Now, coming into Basecone, what you're seeing on screen at the moment is my in tray of purchase invoices that need to be processed. So if I was to go into my, I will go into the Kingston Council purchase invoice that I've got here. Once I log back in, because it seems to have timed out. So once I go into my particular purchase invoice that I'd like to process, you simply first have to tag as to what it is. So in my case, it's a purchase invoice, and I'll simply click on book. Now, what I'm looking to do at this stage is really just feed this data back into Twinfield without having to manually input any of the information. So what Basecone will do automatically using its OCR technology is it will pick up all of the information that it can based on the image or the PDF document that is seen on the left-hand side. If there is a particular field where the data hasn't been picked up for whatever reason, or you're not happy with it, you could simply pick that data up by selecting what field you'd like to capture. So in my case, it's the amount, including VAT. And you simply use your cursor on your mouse to select what it is you'd like to copy across, click on it, and it copies the data for you as well. So it can really be a big time saver in that sense. What you're seeing on the right-hand side is really all the fields that you'd expect to see in Twinfield. So this is all the information that's getting picked up from Twinfield. So you could choose what supplier you want this to go against, the values, and then you're able to process this particular purchase invoice as well. Now, within Basecone, because I appreciate it's a product in its own and there's more to it, but you can also set up different workflows. So perhaps certain invoices need to be sort of approved internally before they get processed. You could also set these workflows up at different authorization levels on the top ribbon on here as well. But once you're happy with it, you're able to simply click on Book on the bottom right-hand side, and this will simply post all its information back into Twinfield for you as well. Now, going back into Twinfield, if I was to go into my supplier aging report, I'll show you how this is actually going to sort of transfer back into here as well. So in my case, I'm going to use the Southeast Water as an example. So if I click on, oh, apologies, I don't believe I have an invoice attached to that particular one. So I am going to use a different example. So I'll use the Kingston Council. So once again, if I click on the transaction, what I'm able to see is all the information that was brought in, that was posted from Basecone. I'm able to see the actual image of the actual purchase invoice itself on the right-hand side. And I could always link back into it, and it will have a full audit trail as to when it was processed and who was processed by as well. And that will all live within Twinfield for you as well. So it is quite a handy feature to have as well. So that's it really from the purchase invoicing side of things. Now, the next area that's quite popular within Twinfield tends to be the cash and the banking side of things as well. So from a banking point of view, you have three separate ways in which you could bring data into Twinfield. So you could manually type it in if you want to do that, the bank statements, or you could import CSV files, or nowadays you could use our bank feeds, which is also built into Twinfield as part of the Twinfield cost. So there's no additional cost to using the bank feed functionality with Twinfield as well. So if I was to click on bank feeds, all I'm going to be doing at this stage is really just defining what bank I'd like to link into that particular company. So I'll simply select my company, Hibbert & Co., continue. And what I would like to show you at this point is the amount of banks that we have sort of set up as part of the bank feeds. And we actually use a service called TrueLayer for this, one of our partners. So they're constantly updating these banks as well. But all your high street banks, as you'd expect, will be on there. And some of your challenger banks as well will be on here as well. But yeah, once you've selected your bank, input your credentials, and then you'll have your bank feed set up as well and ready for you to use within Twinfield. Just going back into the cash and bank side of things, we also do have an element of automation as well. So when it comes to bank statements, and when you have sort of allocation rules, the system will start to learn certain postings that you do, and it will pick that up and it will start applying them in the future, moving forward to particular bank statements and bank statement lines as well. So it is quite handy. And in general, we tend to see that within 3 months, the system will be able to process bank statements on your behalf because it knows exactly what's coming in as well. But not to worry, it will not just do it automatically. There's always an element of control in the sense that you'll still need to go in, oversee it. And if you're happy with it, you could sort of post them as well. So that's the banking side of things. Now, with Twinfield, it's fully MTD compliant. So you are able to file directly with HMRC as well through the VAT section if you wanted to. But I'm not going to go into detail in there because it's what you'd expect, really. In addition to that, we also do have fixed assets as a module that you could use. And then beyond that, you have financial professionals, as well as the reporting and the settings side of things as well. Now, within the financial professional section, this is where you're able to come in to carry out your year end, but you're also able to come in here to sort of oversee transactions, provisional transaction, as well as finalized transactions, as well as your extended trial balances if you wanted to. Now, from a reporting point of view, with Twinfield, straight out the box, you will receive 51 reports that are sort of pre-prepared for you to use. So if I click on reporting, you can see all of your reports that you'd expect to have are already on here. However, you are able to customize any reports and add additional reports if you wanted to as well, as part of this reporting section as well. Now, one thing to mention with Twinfield, with it being a cloud-based product and with you having different users using the product, you can also set different parameters as to what user roles have access to what functionality within the product. And as part of that, you could also control who has access to what reports within Twinfield as well. Now, to do that, you simply go into the settings icon on the left-hand side, go into access settings, and in here, you could define the different roles within your organization, as well as the user settings. And you could also define what access you would like them to have. And you could really get into detail in terms of actual modules on the left-hand side as to what parts you want them to have access to within the system. So perhaps if someone who only deals with the purchase ledger side of things, when they log into Twinfield, you could pretty much remove everything from here, so they only have access to that particular functionality as well. Now, last but not least, I know it's something that Phil mentioned quite early on, which is the multi-currency and multi-company as well. Now, to do that, you simply go into the organization settings on the left-hand side. And within here, you go into company groups. And this is where you're able to define your sort of group structure, if you will. And once you've done that, all you simply do is you attach the different companies to that particular group, and then it'll allow you to report on that particular group as well, just saving you a lot of time in the process as well. But I think with that being said, that's everything I wanted to sort of cover off during this particular segment of the session of this webinar in terms of Twinfield. Once again, I appreciate I did go 100 miles an hour, but by all means, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to take them now as well.
And Hassan, there are a couple of questions out there. The first question is, how do we spread invoices over 12 months? Is that something that can be done within Twinfield?
Yeah, very good question. So yes, you could absolutely do that. So to do that, I'll go into my purchase invoice, for instance. And you can see on the top here, you do have the ability to spread invoice. So clicking on that, I'll simply be able to choose where I would like to spread the invoice from. And yes, you can do it for more than 12 months as well. So if I was to click spread to on here, type in 2023. All apologies, in this particular company, I don't believe I've got that year set up. However, you can see actually on here, December 2023. So yes, you can do it for more than 12 months if needs be as well in terms of spreading invoices.
Perfect. And another question in our Q&A, can you add payment services to invoices, allowing customers to make a payment directly from the invoice?
Yes, very good question. So that one I'll probably have to defer because it's something that Mike will be able to confirm. But to the best of my knowledge, yeah, you should be able to add the link where they are able to just create that payment for you straight away. But yeah, Mike will confirm that as well.
Perfect. And there's one more question from Barat in the chat. And that was, how does this work for a chain of restaurants, especially with sales including Uber Eats and Deliveroo? So I'm guessing, how does it work when you've got a chain of restaurants? Well, actually, we have that right. Like one of our largest customers, obviously we can't say who it's for, but is for a franchise, right? That has multiple different franchisees within this big brand. And they will have Uber Eats and they will have Deliveroo payments within that, correct?
Absolutely. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So it is something that can be used. I know it is being used, as you've rightly said, by that particular customer. Unfortunately, we can't mention the name, but I'm sure everyone has dined out there at some point in the past.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely. But yeah, once again, it is something that Michael can also pick up with you in more detail if needs be. So we'll have him follow up with you on that as well, just to demonstrate that in more detail.
And can I use it for Canadian dollar with multi-currency using US dollar?
Yes, absolutely. So to do that,
questions here, some good technical questions coming in from they're testing our technical knowledge.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
Absolutely. But no, you could certainly do that. So to do that, I'll simply just go into the settings on the left-hand side, go into currencies, and you're able to set up the currencies that you'd like to use on here. So in my case, I've got euros, British pounds, as well as dollars set up. And once you have defined them, then you are able to set obviously exchange rates. And I believe we do also have a third-party vendor that we integrate with, where you could get sort of live rates fed into the system as well if you want to.
Okay, so you
can
do that. Changeable VAT rates, so like 13%. I'd imagine so, because the Netherlands would have different VAT rates to the UK, right?
Yes, absolutely. So it will depend on the organization that you're within Twinfield and how you've set that up. But yeah, you will be able to do that.
So what I'm going to do, we've got a few more questions. I just want to go through the case study, and then we'll get to the questions at the end, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just so we can make sure we kind of cover off the content. And Hassan, if you want, whilst I'm going through the case study, if you want to go and type any answers to the questions within the Q&A, feel free, because they can also be available publicly as well. So feel free to dive into the Q&A. If that's okay with you. So I just want to talk you through, so we think it's really important that we kind of talk through a case study that Mike had been involved with from the start, and usually Mike talks through this. Centralis Group is a global corporate services outsource provider with a UK entity focusing on alternative asset managers in the renewable sector. Amy, Adam and Sean came on board in January 2022 with the aim of growing the UK business, and hence required a robust accounting system to allow them to prepare multi-currency consolidated management accounts for their clients. And Hassan, if I'm not mistaken, you were involved in this deal at the very start as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you might be able to add some colour to this one, but they looked at various softwares. But what set Twinfield apart was the consolidation element, being able to post IC transactions across both entities and the ability to run consolidated reports, as well as the multi-currency element. For example, being able to post in base currency as well as separate reporting currencies and run reports on both. So below is some feedback that Sean gave to us and a couple of colleagues based around the colleagues and the onboarding process. The process of dealing with Wolters Kluwer was extremely easy. We all had demos of the software, which we found to be helpful. Lee and Mike have been great at responding to all of our inquiries, and Colin, who's one of our trainers and Twinfield specialists here at Wolters Kluwer, also provided our on-site training, which was brilliant too. We also purchased the CCH account production system, and it feels like we're building into a long-term partnership with Wolters Kluwer rather than just buying a piece of software off the shelf. And for me, I think that's kind of key, right? It's about that partnership piece, and this is something that we really focus on here, because Twinfield is not your average piece of software to get to grips with. It is quite complex. It has deep and rich functionality. And we can help you onboard that. And in fact, our services consultants here at Wolters Kluwer do exactly that. We'll work out how much time you need, and we will build a package and pricing bespoke for you. So actually, that integration, that consultancy, that work that we do alongside the software, I think really sets us apart from a lot of other providers in this space in the UK. Centralis has found this, and actually, whilst Twinfield is still growing within the UK, we find that we have a very loyal client base with some major kind of like blue chip and corporate names using this software within the UK market. And for me, I think that that's kind of super, super important. So Hassan, anything else you want to add around that and around kind of Centralis or anything else that you've experienced kind of working within the Twinfield space?
Of course, yeah. I think that case study pretty much summed it up quite well. I think everyone on the call, you've probably seen your fair share of, accounting software, so they don't really differ a great deal. However, I will probably say on that front, it's with Twinfield, it's not very well marketed from our point of view, I presume, so you probably haven't heard of it. But for what it is and the functionality that you get, it's a very, very powerful tool for you to have in your arsenal as well.
Sorry, I was multitasking, which is always a challenge. Hassan, let's just see if we've got any more questions in the chat. One of the things, I just want to run our last poll while we address these last questions. And the last poll is pretty simple, right? We've sit here having a conversation about Twinfield for the last 35, 40 minutes. But I'd like to find out, would you like some more information about Twinfield? And obviously, this is not about us chucking out emails to you and kind of just, just chucking stuff over the fence. What we want to do is actually, get Mike to reach out and have a conversation with you and see if there is some potential benefit in you working with Twinfield or finding out a little bit more about that. So we've had 17 out of 49. I think there's a few more of you that could vote on that one if possible, please. But yeah, please do vote in the chat. And like I said, this is not about adding you to a mailing list and chucking stuff over the fence. This is actually genuinely about reaching out and seeing if there's some more information that we can help you with around Twinfield. Meanwhile, whilst that poll is running in the background, and I'm not going to let anyone leave till we get at least like 75% of answers right. I want to bring, see if there's any more questions in the poll. Definitely some more questions in the poll. How do I generate a remittance advice for my supplier? Is that something you can pick up?
Unfortunately, I'll probably have to defer that particular question to Mike or to the support team as well. But it's a very valid question, and one that jumps to me as well is the migration piece as well potentially. So I know one of the question is migration of Sage data take place with Twinfield? So yes, so we can certainly carry that out as part of our professional services team, as part of your migration process as well. So we could work with that as part of our scoping sort of session with you in terms of what needs to be brought across and what data needs to be brought across. But yeah, we could certainly do that as well. And then there's also some advocates on there as well, Assad as well, I guess, saying sort of Twinfield is on par with, if not even better than QuickBooks as well, with respects to functionality as well as pricing. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. But yeah, absolutely. The remaining of the questions, I'm sure we'll get back to you as well, just to make sure we cover them off.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, Mike was meant to be joining us today, and he is our Twinfield expert. Unfortunately, Mike wasn't very well, but we thought that Hassan, being a product expert in Twinfield and our other digital products, it would be definitely beneficial. So hopefully you've got some benefit out today, and really kind of encouraging that so many of you want us to reach out and kind of give you a little bit more information about what is happening with Twinfield. And I'll ask Mike to reach out. Mike's details on the screen. If there's anything else you would like from Mike, he can absolutely happy to have that conversation. So Steph, I think we can end that poll now. Thank you very much. Just to say, thank you very much for attending. Any questions that haven't been answered, we will come back to you. We'll pass them over to Mike, and when Mike is back in the business, we'll make sure that he comes back to you. Anyone that has asked for someone to reach out, Mike will absolutely be in contact. If you have any more kind of questions around Twinfield, please do feel free to reach out to Mike. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Hassan. We're both available via LinkedIn, or I'm sure Steph will put our contact details in the follow-up email as well. So look, thank you very much for your time today. It's been great to spend time with you all, to talk to you a little bit about Twinfield, and to kind of bring to light some of the key functionality of what I think is a pretty exciting product that we don't talk about quite enough in the UK. Good. So Hassan's going to go and enjoy the nice weather in Newcastle. I think Steph, who we've got on the call today, is thinking about moving over to Fiji, because apparently they've got some pretty nice weather over there today. And I'm probably going to stay put in Eastbourne. So look, thanks for attending, and don't forget to check out waterscluid.co.uk, waterscluid.com, and have a look at our other webinars coming up and other bits and pieces that we have, because we're always running webinars around our software. We've done some great webinars with marketing expert Amanda Watts. We've got a webinar coming up around tech integration, and we're going to be talking to John Toon from Beaver and Struthers, and one of our internal tech experts as well. So we've got some really, really exciting stuff coming up, and we'll happily look forward to seeing you again there. So thanks very much for your time. Thanks for attending the webinar, and we will look forward to seeing you in the future.